My name is, my name is, my name is, chicka chicka, Nusha. Well, hello there. I'm Nusha, also known as Ferocious and Pretty Pens here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And I am finally posting new content. If you didn't know, I literally have not posted anything on this channel in over a year now. And I took a little bit of a break from just all of social media in the last 6 months or so, and I'm finally back. So if you're interested in hearing where I've been for the last year and why I haven't posted content, I'm going to get into that in this video. I'm also going to go into the new pens that I acquired during my time off, as well as give you a little bit of a peek as to the things that I acquired at the DC Pen Show. Everything will be time-stamped. Feel free to skip around if you're interested in seeing the goodies. My goodies, my goodies. Not those goodies. No, this is a family show. We are not showing those goodies. We are showing pens that I've acquired, and I'll talk a little bit about ink. Yep, that's Stella. Right when I start talking about new pens and stuff, and just her normal judgmental self. So anyway, even though there's a cat in the background, let's focus on me because this video is about me. Just kidding. But it is about me because, yeah. Anyway, so where have I been for the last year? I'm not dead, as you can see. I am very much alive.
I am not a robot.
I did decide to take a break from posting video content because I was going through a bit of a tough time in about July of last year, which is when I posted my last video. And I filmed a bunch of new content and refilmed it and refilmed it. And what I noticed was that when I was editing, it just felt a little off. I didn't seem like my usual jazz handsy self. And that was just because, quite frankly, I was in a bit of a funk. There's no other way to really put it. And with all of, the things that were going on in the world in the last few years, and just, feeling a little more in tune with myself and more connected to, my emotions and desires and wants and goals, I just was not feeling like I was going in the direction that I wanted to in my career. Part of that had to do with the fact that I had been working at the same company for nearly a decade, and I was at the point where I just felt like I wasn't being appreciated. It was almost like being in, for all intents and purposes, an emotionally abusive relationship where I was giving so much of myself and I was not really getting anything in return. I wasn't advancing. I felt unappreciated, and so I made the decision to, start looking for a new job after doing some really deep soul searching as to, what I wanted out of things. And, it wasn't easy. It was nearly a decade of my life. And like I said, when I was filming those videos, it just was so obvious to me. And if it was obvious to me, I figured it would probably be obvious to any of you that are out there watching. So I just decided to take a break. And that break turned into a really long sabbatical. In that I found another job. I'm still within the realm of marketing. I still work within a medical device, and I'm super blessed to have found the opportunity that I have now and to work with the people that I get to work with. And then on top of all of that, it turned into a long sabbatical and a break from Instagram too eventually earlier this year, because I was in the throes of learning a new company. The learning curve when you're at a more senior level in your career has to be a lot quicker to get up and running. There's more expectations, and I wanted to prove myself. So the balance of work and life just kind of went out the window, and I'm recalibrated at this point and feeling as if I'm regaining that balance, and so you're going to see more content from me as we go forward. So what have I added to my collection in the last year or so? Well, I have added a lot of inks, and that was more recent. And I'm not going to go over any of those in this video because there's just way too much. So the last pen that I acquired before, you know, going silent on Instagram too, and I'll explain why that's important in a moment. Golden Barrel M200 by Pelikan, because I love the ink that went with that pen. And as always, I was not disappointed because Pelikan, y'all need to like step up your photography game. I don't know what it is about you guys, but you really don't know how to capture the beauty of sparkle deliciousness when it comes to pens. I'm just saying. No offense, but offense. And yeah, so I added that one, and I'll put an image of it here so you get to see it in all of its glory. It's beautiful. And any of these pens that I go over, if you're interested in getting a full review, leave it in the comments. So anyway, that was honestly the last pen that I bought. And after that, it was like crickets until I went to the DC Pen Show, which, by the way, like taking a break from social media, it was a blessing and a curse in that it was a blessing in that I had zero FOMO because I had no clue what had come out. So I didn't acquire anything. And then I went to the DC Pen Show and it all went to shit, quite frankly. My abstinence from purchasing things went right out the window with my credit card. I do not recommend doing that if you're ever going to go to the DC Pen Show. And this was my first time attending. And I liken it to going to the grocery store when you're hungry. I saw all of the things and I bought a lot of them. My first acquisition during that show was a vintage 1970s Mont Blanc 149, which I've wanted for quite a while. I don't know, I've gotten into Mont Blancs recently, and just they're classic, they're workhorses, and they last for a very long time. So I acquired one of those. The next pen that I purchased was this Tasha. I have been wanting a Nikaya for quite a while, but the Nikaya Decapod Twist is the one that has always caught my eye, but they've never released an Urushi that has like a cerulean blue undertone. It's always either, you know, I'm gonna butcher this because I'm not an Urushi expert by any means, but it's always either like the red or the green, and then there's sometimes Rodin and all of that stuff. And while those are beautiful pens and whatnot, I'm always drawn to things that are cerulean, teal, etc. So when I saw this pen, I literally shoved women and children out of the way. Women carrying children, all of them. Bah, get out of the way, folks. And I beelined it for this pen and I bought it on site. I guess I'm just one of those people that when I see what I like, there's no question about it. So I bought it, and that was the end of that. And from there, I also purchased some really lovely eyedropper vintage flex pens from good old Mr. Mad Mercantile. I got to meet him in person, and he's just such a lovely guy. He gave me a really good deal, and you might be looking at this pen here and wondering what the frick, what is this, a pen for ants? And yes, it's a really teeny tiny eyedropper, but the nib is great, and sometimes I don't need a full eyedropper for some of the ink reviews that I do. So I figured, why not just get this little itty bitty like guy and just use them and stuff. This is known as a Peter Pan, I guess. The next pen that I acquired was total kismet. I was just walking by, minding my own business, and there was our favorite, Mr. Tokyo Station Pens, CY, and I saw that he had this gorgeous Rialo that I've never seen before that just really spoke to me. And I also had him do a custom grind on it. It's a curved architect on the original zoom nib that this sailor comes with. But the basic gist of it is that a curved architect is more forgiving for cursive than a regular architect. It's not quite as sharp and doesn't have a chance to cut into the paper as much, depending on what your cursive or my cursive and heavy-handedness is like. So that was that. And then from there, I visited our friend Lauren Elliott of Lucky Star Pens, and I purchased this Franklin Christoph exclusive. I believe this is a 46L from her, and it's just a lovely material. Lauren has this really great ability of picking or creating some of the materials that she's had pens made of are materials that she conceptualized, and she just has a good eye for that. And so I ended up purchasing that pen. And then I also visited Brian of Iron Feather Creative, and I finally got to meet him in person, and he is such a nice man in person. And yeah, I saw this guy that has this carving on it that looks like clouds, and I believe it's supposed to be clouds, but it could be ocean. But the way that it is, it's opposite of what you would think, since clouds are usually not the same color as Earth. It's the blue that you would expect this to be on, but it's on the Earth portion. I don't know, it just spoke to me. The next pen that I purchased was from Carolina Pen Company, and what's interesting about this pen is that the material was poured by Jonathan Brooks's daughter, and I don't know what it is about that family. It must be something in their genetics, but homegirl really knows how to pour a cool material. This material is an homage to Disney's Brave, and it has a really cool emblem on the top of the cap. It's a cool material in itself, and I like the idea of the colors. The color story is cool. So if you're not following her on Instagram, you should really think about it, because I suspect that she's going to be up to some big things if she continues to produce materials. Yeah, I think that's it. If I remember anything else that I bought at the DC Pen Show that I forgot, I'm going to post it here as an honorable mention, but I feel like I bought way more than I actually did, but I didn't. So those are the things that I bought. I also got to meet a bunch of people that I've only ever interacted with online in person. And I gotta say, like, our community is pretty awesome within the fountain pen community. People are generally nice. They want to share stories. They want to give advice. They want to let you try their pens if you're trustworthy and aren't going to spring their nibs, which I would never do. And yeah, it was just an awesome 3-day experience, and I would do it again. I'd do it again. I don't regret anything, not even the money that I spent. It was great, but I would probably set a budget in the future. I know everybody tells you to set a budget before you go to this thing, but I hadn't bought anything in a really long time, and I thought I could control myself, and for the most part I did. I mean, I bought some things. You saw the things that I bought. I wanted to buy more, but you know, I didn't. I was kind of good-ish. But yeah, I would definitely set a budget next time. So 2023, we'll see how that goes. Also, since I got back from the DC Pen Show, I did purchase a handful of new things. The first thing is the Corsani Octagon, the Visconti Corsani Octagon in the gray stacked celluloid. And this is a cool pen, but between you, me, and the walls, the nib is absolute and utter shit. This is the first time I've ever had an issue with a Visconti nib, and it's probably because every other time I've purchased a Visconti, I've bought it from somebody that is a nib meister or person, and they make sure that it's tuned and all of that stuff. So not too pleased with that, but I am going to be making a trip over to see Kirk Spear, also known as Pen Realm. hopefully this coming weekend, and I'm going to drop that off and a couple of other things with him to get worked on. And so hopefully I'll be using that pen more, but I'm just so disappointed in this. Other pen I purchased was the TWSBI 580 Iris. I have the VAC 700R Iris, and that pen is super uncomfortable in my hand because of where the step is. And so I love the 580 Diamond, and super happy that they released the Iris material, the rainbow whatever material in that model. So I picked that up, and last but not least, I purchased the Mont Blanc Rouge et Noir Baby Ivory Heritage. I did not realize this pen was as small as it actually is. I guess I was just looking at pictures of it by itself and I thought it would be bigger, but it's not. It's actually a very small pen. But yeah, so that's that. Anyway, if you're interested in getting a full review of any of these pens that I've kind of mentioned, put it in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do in-depth reviews and writing samples and all of that stuff with these pens, but you tell me what you want to see. How about we do that, huh? Anyway, I hope you're all doing fantastic out there, wherever in the world you may be, and don't forget, keep writing. Near, far, near, far. So eyebrows are supposed to be sisters, not twins. So don't come for me because this eyebrow's trying to escape from my face. Hi, Stella. Don't look at me like that. You knew this was happening. I love you, though. This is my life. Cats. Can't live without them. Can't live without them. I'm not smooth. I'm not like butter. I'm just me, and that's okay. Oh my God. Cat in the background. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's Stella just doing her normal thing. I don't know. For the love of HE double hockey sticks, don't you know, Bobby?